All right, welcome to Creator Hardware, where today we're talking about choosing your editing software. Talk about the hardware and software to make online content. This video is about the premium editing software suites. In a future video, we're going to talk about the less expensive options, so make sure and get subscribed so you can watch that video as well. Today we're going to compare Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Final Cut Pro. Adobe is kind of the hallmark of editing software for anything but movies, TVs, etc. Most content creators tend to use Premiere Pro. When I first started, I looked at the tutorials available online, YouTube, and Premiere Pro had the most of them. Most creators made content on how to use Premiere Pro. When I started, I had zero knowledge of how to edit a video. So that was important to me to understand that I had that support network to go, and I needed to figure something out. I could go and do it. You know, I could find the information on how to do something. And that's one of the things with other programs, that there's less information out there. One of the biggest downsides to Premiere Pro is it is a subscription-based program. So you pay a monthly fee, $20.99 just for Premiere Pro. That's every month. As long as you want to use the program, you got to pay for it. That is a huge downside to it. I use the complete Creative Cloud, so I pay $52.99 a month. Now I use it for both of my channels, but it is a cost to me every month. That is an issue. But let's talk about some of the advantages. It is an extremely powerful video editing program. You have just the Premiere Pro part of it. You have audio stuff you can do. You can literally do your entire video in Premiere Pro. You have transitions, you have masking, you have all those features that for basic editing built in. So you only need Premiere Pro for most of your video work. If you don't do After Effects, you can use just Premiere Pro. You don't have to get the whole suite like I do. Now I tend to use Audition and Photoshop. Audition for my audio and Photoshop for my thumbnails. There's other programs to do that, so you don't have to invest in it, but it's easiest for me, dynamic link and all that. If you're growing your channel and you plan to add an editor, chances are they're going to have a copy of Premiere Pro. So if you want to work with an editor, Premiere Pro is probably the most universally owned software. Most editors are going to have Premiere Pro, whereas some of the other programs, they may not. So that may cause difficulty in collaboration with an editor. More people make content on how to use Premiere Pro than any other editing software, period. So as a beginning editor, it is really a useful thing to have. You know, you're trying to figure out how to mask out a scene or cover up a face or something like that. There's a tutorial out there. In fact, there's probably 30, 40 just on that one thing you're trying to do. That is a huge advantage when it comes to your editing software. All right, next up, we're gonna talk DaVinci Resolve. Now, DaVinci Resolve is, well, the entire Creative Cloud suite in one program. You have audio tools built in. You have your editing software. You have color grading. The thing about DaVinci Resolve is it started as a color grading tool. Hollywood uses it for color grading. That is its bread and butter. Now, whether or not you use it to color grade is up to you, but that is its bread and butter. But it includes a way more powerful color grading suite than Adobe Premiere Pro. You also have an After Effects version. You have it built into the program. You don't have to go to a different software to do After Effects like things. It's built into DaVinci Resolve. Now, the biggest advantage to DaVinci Resolve is the basic version is 100% free. All you need to do is give them an email address, all your information, and you have a fully featured editing suite. The paid version only adds some features. Now I have the paid version. only because I have a Blackmagic Cinema 6K. That is the only reason I have the full version, is because I have a Blackmagic camera. That computer behind me has DaVinci Resolve on it. My wife's PC has DaVinci Resolve on it. This PC has DaVinci Resolve, the full version. Now let's talk some of the drawbacks. The drawbacks is, in my opinion, it is way less intuitive than Premiere Pro. Is it unworkable? No. Can it be used? Absolutely. It just is going to be a longer learning curve in my opinion. Now, just like Premiere Pro, you can set customizable keyboard shortcuts, and it is extremely powerful for a video editing suite that is 100% free. Now let's talk specs needed for DaVinci Resolve. Adobe's requirements are probably a little shy of what's actually needed. DaVinci Resolve recommends an i7 or an i9 or a R7 from AMD or an R9 from AMD. When I was rendering a video, it was pegging my GPU at 70% utilized, as well as a bunch of cores on my 3950X 16-core processor. So it uses a good bit of horsepower to run. It's not going to run on a potato PC, nor will Adobe Creative Cloud. It just requires more horsepower than a basic computer. Can you run them on more basic computers? Yes, but I would not recommend it. That's where you get crashes, stuttering, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people talk about crashes on Adobe, less so on DaVinci, but a lot of times the stuttering and the crashing is because you're running out of various resources on your PC. That's why I built this computer, is because I didn't want to have any of those problems. The biggest advantage to DaVinci though is the price. Do not feel obligated to pay $300 for DaVinci Resolve. The features added for paying for it don't add up to anything that an average content creator is going to need. So definitely a great option. Now it's a lot better than it was 4 years ago. Plus, when I first started editing, there was almost nothing available on DaVinci. Now, a lot of things you can find easily on DaVinci. Less so than Adobe, but still lots of information, so you can figure out how to use DaVinci. Pet peeve of mine on DaVinci is every time you go to do a new project, you have to set the timeline resolution, which is annoying. Premiere Pro, you just drag it in and it sets to 4K. Pet peeve, but you know. All right, Final Cut Pro is a $295 one-time fee. So you buy it, you own it, and they keep updating it. All right, one of the things you have to have with Final Cut is an Apple product. Now, full disclosure, I've actually never used Final Cut Pro. I don't own a Mac. And so take my thoughts on it with that grain of salt. But it is an excellent editing program. Is it as feature-packed as Premiere or DaVinci? No, but more than capable of editing 95% of the content creators out there. And Apple does a lot of unique things with their software. One, they do a lot of pre-rendering, which will impact your render times out. When you're done with the project and you go to render it out, a lot of the files are already pre-rendered, so it exports really quickly. It is also optimized for Apple hardware. So whether you've got one of the older Intel systems or the new iMacs with the ARM silicon, it will run flawlessly. That is a huge advantage for Apple, is because they control so much of their hardware, you know it's gonna run on your Mac. If I was traveling and had to edit videos on the road, I would probably invest in a good Mac laptop and Final Cut Pro. So I hope this video gave you some insights into editing software out there on the premium side. As always, hit record, hit upload. Thanks for watching. This is Creator Hardware.